Don't forget how far you've come. This morning, I was at the local rescue mission and I got to spend some time with some of these guys who have been through addiction. They've been through some really hard stories. And I was talking to some of the other volunteers and asking, like, what did that mean to you? And how did it feel and stuff like that? And the thing that I had to say that I wanted to say to you, which all the guys resonated with, is we're all just one dumb mistake away from being exactly where these guys are. We're all one dumb mistake away from basically being in the gutter too. And so there's gratitude about just God's faithfulness and mentors and accountability and so many reasons that I'm not where these guys are. So a lot of gratitude there, but also I think there's a level of humility to realize that you can change your life in a real negative way in just a moment, literally just a moment. But in the same way, you can also change your life in a really positive way in a moment too. And so when it comes to you writing your story, one of the things that I highly recommend is that you don't edit out the grit. Don't edit out the grit. One of the biggest mistakes I see Christian authors make when it comes to telling their story is that they take out the hard part of it. Don't edit out the hard. It's the hard that makes it real. It's the hard that connects you to your reader. And there's something about being real that resonates with our heart. Your heart leads to the heart, connects to the heart. When it comes to being a Christian writer and telling your story, it can be really easy to just want to gloss over the details and make your book, your blog, your Facebook post, make it shiny, happy plastic. But what really connects is the heart. And so I love being at the rescue mission because I get to see guys that are on the other side of hard. They're still going through it. They're still dealing with it. It's a lifetime journey, but they're real and they tell you the truth, and it's not shiny, happy plastic. And if you're writing shiny, happy plastic, the question I would ask is, what are you so afraid of? And this is a thing I see quite a lot. Especially if it's your first book. You don't want to embarrass anybody. One of the main reasons that we write the shiny, happy plastic story instead of the real story is because we don't want to embarrass anybody. If your dad hit you, if your husband cheated on you, if your kids were addicted, how do you tell that story without shaming them? That's a real issue, a real question. There are some strategies. But before we get to the strategies, it's important to really think about the why. Why do we want to tell the hard story rather than the shiny, happy plastic story? We want to tell the real story because the real story connects to a real person. The real person that we're called to serve, that we're called to write to, they won't believe you unless they know that you've lived through what they're going through. They won't believe you. If your story is shiny, happy plastic, they'll say, oh, her life's been great. She has no idea what it's like to be where I am. Therefore, I'm going to read somebody who's real. I think this is one of the biggest differences between Christian art and mainstream art or secular art. It's how much truth do we tell? How much truth do you tell as a Christian writer? You tell the whole truth because the truth will set you free. So before we address how to talk about a hard story and how to tell a hard story, especially if it deals with somebody else, first we got to talk about the mindset. The mindset is a mindset of stewardship. If you've been through something hard, the Bible says God works all things together for the joy of, The Bible says God works all things together for good and for the joy, for the good of those who love him and are called according to his purpose. For the joy set before you, you are enduring some really hard things. And part of the joy is to see someone else walking in the truth because of your story. I love the verse, I think it's in 3 John, that says, there's no greater joy than to see my children walking in the truth. Now, I love that verse so much because obviously I think about my kids, but I also think about you. I think about my readers. I think about my subscribers. I think about people that I've coached, or my clients, my authors. And same thing for you. Think about the people that you're serving. There's no greater joy than to see them walking in the truth, to see them learning your way and then living the way, practicing the way. It's really powerful. In fact, there's no greater joy. There's no greater joy than for me to recommend something to one of my kids or one of my clients and them do it, actually do it. And if what it took for them to believe that it works is me telling the whole truth, the hard part of my story, then it's worth it. It's worth it. Something I've talked about many times before, part of my journey, is pornography. And just to say the word pornography in a video is really scary. But what we do as authors is we develop a thick skin and a soft heart. And understanding that if I'm not vulnerable, then I'm not believable. Your vulnerability leads to believability. And you want people to believe you. You want them to know that you're with them and you're for them. And so when I coach guys and I talk to guys and I say, I've gone through a pornography journey, and I even, in that context, even give more details, the guys believe me because they see that where I was, they are now, and I know what it's like to be where they are. I'm the same for you. So the mindset is understanding that it's a stewardship issue, that the thing that you struggled with, even an affair, even abuse, even trauma, even divorce, bankruptcy, addiction, whatever your thing is that you feel like you could never talk about, that's probably the thing you're called to talk about one day. One day. Maybe not right now, but one day. Because of the stewardship issue. Because I've been through this, I can tell the story of what God did in my life to encourage somebody else. And yes, I have to share at least some of the details, at least the feeling, the heart of that story. Because I'm here for a limited time only. I'm here for a limited time. My life is going to be real short. It might be 80 years, it might be 90 years, but in the grand scheme of eternity, that's really short. And so if I'm not here anymore, then it is my duty to leave that story for others, to share that story for others. So that's number one, the mindset. Understanding it's a stewardship issue. If you now believe it's a stewardship issue, then it leads to number two. Number two, honor. How can you honor the people in that story? How can you honor your reader and honor the people in the story? And the way to do it is if somebody's been dishonorable and they don't want you to talk about them in your book because they've been dishonorable, if you're telling the truth, there's going to be some hard parts of the truth. I've been through this. I've had stories I've written about people who have been dishonorable, and yet there's a way to honor even though they've been dishonorable. So here are my strategies. Number one, anonymize. Don't use their names. Number two, synthesize. Blend details. Blend details. And number three, authorize. There might be a situation where you actually need to get permission, a legal permission to tell the story. Anonymize means don't call them out. You can say a family member without saying who the family member is. It's still true. It's still a family member, but you're not calling them out specifically. Synthesize means taking a couple stories and blending them together. The heart is still true, but the details have been mixed around a little bit based on a true story. That way, there's not that shame or embarrassment. People can't really figure out exactly who it is because the details aren't exactly the way that they happen, but the heart is still true. And then authorize. Authorize is the hard one. Sometimes this is necessary. Even after you've anonymized and synthesized, there's still a situation where you have to decide, do I need to get permission from this person to tell the story? If I don't get permission, what's the consequence? Consequence might be broken relationship. If that person has been dishonorable, the relationship is probably broken already. But there might be a legal issue. And you don't want your book to get caught up in legal issues. You don't want to publish a book and then have somebody file a lawsuit against you because of what you said. Now, what you said might be true, but there's a way to say it in a way that is still honorable. And I think that's so important. So number one, understanding that it's a stewardship issue. Your hard story is a stewardship issue. So telling the truth, the whole truth, is a stewardship issue. And that's where, as a Christian author, when we tell the truth, people go, finally, somebody told the truth. Some of the breakthrough books that I've seen in the last 10, 15, 20 years in the Christian publishing industry have been because they told the truth where nobody else was telling the truth. So a couple of big books were like, I Kissed Dating Goodbye. It was like, hey, we don't have to date like the world. Blue Like Jazz. It's basically like, does the church really have it all figured out? Who else? Rob Bell, before he kind of fell off the core biblical theological foundation, some of his books were kind of poking holes. There's a time and a place for that, to telling the truth that is uncomfortable. It's what Martin Luther did. It's what Paul did at Areopagus, to say, I see that you're very religious people, but let me tell you about the unknown God. That's powerful. And so for you to tell the truth as a stewardship issue and also honoring. And then finally, number 3, there's no difference. I don't believe there's a difference between secular and sacred. I believe that everything is God's creation. The world is his, it's his dominion. And there's no separation of church and state. There's no separation. There's no such thing as a Christian book and a non-Christian book. Every book has faith in it. What do you believe? You're going to put your faith in it. You're going to share your worldview. And so you, as a Christian author, are an author who's a Christian. And so you can have your book in the mainstream section. You can, because you're sharing your worldview just like anybody else would be sharing their worldview. And so there's no separation. So I would say, instead of trying to placate this industry, this Christian industry, oh, this is the way I have to write because it's in the Christian industry, you just write the book that resonates with your readers. There really aren't any rules. The rules have been made up and the rules are outdated. Instead, write to connect to your reader, to meet her where she is and help her move forward. What's the prison she's stuck in right now? What's the promised land she dreams of living in? And what's the path to go from the prison to the promised land? That's your story. And for you to share your story is one of the most powerful things that you can do. It's one of the best stewardships that you can do. So there's no separation between sacred and secular, church and state. We are all spiritual beings having an earthly experience, a bodily, physical experience. And so eternity lasts a lot longer than the time that we're here, the dash that we're here. We're running the little 100-yard dash, the 100-year dash right now, the 80-year dash. And so while we're in the dash, let's not forget eternity. And so live your way in such a way that the world is not worthy. And if that means writing an excellent book that helps people, that feels a little bit unfiltered, maybe breaking some conventions, but it's real because it's connecting that person, because it's a stewardship issue. It's honoring your reader. And there's no separation between sacred and secular. I think you're going to write a book that's not just a Christian book, but it's a book that impacts people in a deep and profound way. If you're a Christian author and you've struggled with telling the truth and not writing a shiny, happy plastic story, but actually sharing hard part of your story, then this video is for you. My name is Brian Dixon from Hope Writers. I run a publishing company called Hope Books. And in this video, I'm going to walk you through 3 strategies to help you tell your hard story as a Christian writer. Let's go.